It's a film about one of the greatest painters of all time, and the greatest English painter. A fascinating character, which is what Tim has put flesh to, and a man who really was a pioneer and a revolutionary painter.
Not a lot is known about Mrs. Booth, so there was some scope for imagination, and I read as much as I could about the seaside town, which is Margate in Kent in England, and for a short while, you know, I could think of nothing else but facts about the seaside town. But really, I was able to use my own imagination.
Well, I think we share quite a lot in the fact that we're both little, fat, funny-looking men. So that took care of itself. But the great thing about when you work with Mike is that you separate yourself completely from the character and you isolate it and you make it its own. But of course, you're the person who's the salve, so therefore attributes that come from your soul as much as his are in there, and you use your own soul to serve the soul you're trying to create.
And he did learn painting for 2 years.
Yeah, Mike asked me to start painting 2 years before we even got anywhere near rehearsing. And we rehearsed for 6 months, so... I knew a little bit about Turner. The great thing is that what made us the perfect match, apart from anything, is he was a funny-looking, fat little man, and so am I.
You can read all the books in the world, you can research for 1,000,000 years, but it doesn't make things happen in front of the camera. It doesn't make Turner happen in front of the camera. You still have to create a characterization. We still have to breathe flesh and blood into it. A painter paints what he sees. A Turner stands on a cliff top and he paints the seascape. He paints the sky. And we know that there are infinite numbers of people who paint pictures of what they see, who put down what they see and record it in what you could call a photographic way. We know that when Turner does that, he sees beyond the sea and the sky. He brings to it an experience and shares with us and makes us see an experience that goes beyond the surface.
I started by researching the colours that he actually used for the paintings, and then we devised a palette ourselves based on that. So that was the only real rigorous choices that I made, was to try and tell the story with the pictures, with the colours that he used at that time.
Could he say something about the art of grunting, which we haven't seen before?
That's how he expresses himself a lot of the times, because he's got this burning thing inside him. So rather than say it, it's just... because it's like, you know, when those people who sneeze, they make that funny noise. It goes like... That's what it is. It's like people who sneeze and redecorate the room have a wonderful time. But people who do that... they're repressing something that's quite pleasurable, and I think that's what it is. That's the art of the grunt.
As a director, you think you have some similarities with Mr. Turner?
No.
Thank you.
Or to put it another way...
Was a real fact, an execution, a shepherd as often happens in between shepherds and farmers, fishermen. It's a human drama which happened. The execution happened too hurriedly. He was killed too quickly. I wanted to put that alongside the notion that in a world living terrible incidents of that sort, alongside that there is beauty, there is humanity. And Africa can't be summed up as a chaos of battle and war. There are men and women who have peaceful lives. Africa is beautiful. Well, as a musician, everything in this film is based on real facts, things we have lived and experienced. Music was forbidden. My band, for example, was forbidden. We had to go to Algeria. Are things which we have experienced. They're real-life experiences in that area. Abderrahmane inspires confidence. He lays out the situation, the atmosphere, the ambience, and then we can only give the best of ourselves because he gives the best of himself to us. It's reciprocal. So that echoes the love that we see in the film. It's the love of our work.
Human beings don't comprise just one dimension. It's not all or nothing. Everybody is complex. You have both good and evil. And I think it's important to realize that a jihadist is a human being who, at a given point in time in his life, has opted for a given choice. What you need to do is to make these people at least appear human. They are fragile at the same time. For me, it was very important for the scene to end up with a specific sentence that I explained to the actor when he says, I think it's the fatigue and the emotion that has overwhelmed him. Maybe I'm crying in the place of all these people who have experienced these things, who've truly suffered, because we then tend to identify with these people. The actors, all those who were courageous enough to make the film, well, that's one thing, but the real courage is to be found amongst those who lived this on a daily basis, not just for 1 day or 2 days, but for a long time. Timbuktu was indeed freed, but the true liberation was for those people who lived there every day. In their heads, they sang these songs and this music that had been banned. Talking about aesthetics is very difficult. It actually scares me a bit. I understand that your question is not a form of criticism in any way, but this is something I'm actually quite scared about when I go about a film. But then, subsequently, I feel very free, because I think that cinema is a form of language. And you speak that language with your own intonation. French, for example, is not my mother tongue. So I'm always going to be French with an accent. And it's true of the cinema, too.
gauche, l'équipe de Mr. Turner, emmenée par son réalisateur Mike Lee. Il est accompagné de Marion Bailey, de Timothy Spall, de Dorothy Atkinson, ses comédiens, également de son directeur de la photo, Dick Pope, et de sa directrice Porcelano. Nous attendons déjà au démarche.
Mesdames, Messieurs, Mike Lee.
Et nous avons donc maintenant le plaisir d'accueillir l'équipe de Timbuktu emmenée par son réalisateur Abderrahmane Sissako. Abderrahmane Sissako accompagné de ses comédiens Pino, Touloukiki, Abel Jafri, Ketli Noël, Fatoumata Diawara, Hichem Yacoubi, Mambi Kamisoko, Walid Kelly, Abdel Mahmoud Sherif, également avec lui sa productrice Sylvie Kala et son distributeur Jean Labadie.
Abderrahmane, Sissako.